Hello everybody and welcome to a new video. Today I am going to be doing more of a talking type video. I'm going to go over the different types of tutorials and the, not pros and cons, but more like benefits and drawbacks of each one. So yeah, let's jump right in. Alright, so I'm going to use two different examples of different tutorial styles in games. And it's going to be based on Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. They both have very similar introductory styles. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be one of those days. So Twilight Princess is pretty well known for its incredibly long tutorial section. And meanwhile, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom just kind of yeet you at the wall and hope you figure it out. They of course have ways to guide you, like in Breath of the Wild, you can't leave the plateau until you've completed the shrine, so it gives you a chance to experiment and figure things out on your own. Meanwhile, Twilight Princess, you are railroaded, which is one of the types of tutorials. It's very strict. You cannot leave these lines. You will go here, do this, figure this out, and there is no other way to do it, which is a lot of RPG games, because especially using RPG Maker, it is very hard to get to create the different ways that you can solve things that 3D games have. Like, for instance, in Breath of the Wild, I remember there's one of the shrines where you take control, and it's like one of the, you know, the maze games where there's a ball inside the maze and you tilt it? It was one of those. I literally just flipped the thing upside down and launched the ball. You can't do that in a 2D space. So you can still, of course, get creative and not railroad so strictly and just have, oh, when a player stumbles across this, it tells them, oh, you can do this, this, and this, and that's it. There's also things like the original Skyward Sword, which me and my sister played together, and was every time you picked up an item, it told you about that item. And it was annoying at best and wanted to make me yeet things at worst. So you really just want to find a good balance between showing the players how to actually play the game and letting them have freedom to explore. Which I feel like, from what I've seen online at least, I haven't researched this explicitly, I've just seen it, because Twilight Princess is one of my favorite Zelda games. That and Wind Waker, those two are my favorite. Which I know contradicts each other, the very cutesy cartoon style and the little dark and grittier one, but I feel like... Okay, I'm getting off topic, but I'm addressing this now so I get it out of my system. I like both of them because they both have very similar plot lines. In the way that you start with Link, and you see him connecting with his family and his childhood friends, and just have that closeness, and then they get taken away, and then you have to go save them. And I really like that type of plot. Found family being my favorite trope, totally nothing to do with it. What? Anyways, back to tutorials. So in Twilight Princess, you are in Ordon Village, and there, the kids are like, hey, use this button to do this at the scarecrow, and you have to go through this very long tutorial and figuring it out. Then after that, you go through more cutscenes. Well, it's a very, very story-heavy, not a lot of action start. It provides the contrast for what happens after. Spoilers, the kids get kidnapped, and Link gets knocked out, and he has to go try and save them, and that contrast of him stepping into the Twilight Zone for the first time is just so jarring that without all of the setup and the slowness of the tutorial at the start, it wouldn't pay off as much. At least that's how I feel personally, which a lot of this is going to be my opinion. While in Breath of the Wild, you wake up in a cave with no memories. You don't have those family connections, which is, honestly, it's one of my biggest gripes with Breath of the Wild, is there's lack of a story. Because everything that happens in the past, and sure, it helps you understand the things in the present, it still doesn't... I didn't feel connected to Zelda in Breath of the Wild. Sure, I felt kind of bad that she's been holding Ganon back all this time, and on her own, but I didn't feel as much of a connection to her as I did in Tears of the Kingdom, which is weird, because in Tears of the Kingdom it has a very similar mechanic, where you're figuring out stuff that happened in the very far past. But at this point, I feel like because of Breath of the Wild, they've already kind of started to build that connection to Zelda. And you actually interact with her in the game. And you get to see her see Link fall and all of that stuff. Or, not see Link fall. See Zelda fall. It's been a while since I played the beginning of that game. So it kind of builds that connection there. So I say, in order to have a good tutorial, you want it to be as more than a tutorial. You want it to be explaining the world, expanding all the possibilities. You don't just want it to be a bunch of signposts telling you this is what to do. Not that there isn't a thing wrong with having signposts. Like, if the players want to review, oh, I forgot how to do this, signpost at the end of the tutorial, and optional signpost at the end of the tutorial can be helpful. And just same way, a big block of text explaining everything. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm skipping through that entire block of text and getting mad when I can't figure out how the game works. You want to break it up. You don't want to info dump it all at once. Hold on one sec, sorry. I have really bad allergies. Alright. You don't want to info dump it all at once, but you also don't want to leave the player clueless as to what the heck they're supposed to be doing, right? So, I mean, I've said this 1,000 times, but it's about that balance, that middle ground in between, this is where you have to go, this is what you have to do, and just, you know, letting you loose. And I feel like Breath of the Wild has a good tutorial. So does Tears of the Kingdom. I love Tears of the Kingdom's tutorial, and it's so satisfying launching yourself off the floating sky island at the end of it. It's fun, and it gives me Skyward Sword vibes, which makes me happy. That Wind Waker and Skyward Sword both do this one too. You have to have items, so it gives you an item, it makes you use it, and then it gives you another item, makes you use it, gives you another, etc. And that's what a lot of the older Zelda games do too, which is explain, test, explain, test, explain, test. And that's how you should introduce new mechanics into your game as well, and it's how you should do the tutorial too. Don't dump it all on the player at once. Say, okay, here's a mechanic, let me show you how to use it, now you go use it. Great, got that down. Here's a new mechanic. Show you how to use it, let you go use it. Good, got that down, etc. and so on and so forth. So, just basically don't info dump everything, don't explain nothing, and just find a nice balance in the middle. So yeah, that's been a Caleb talk. I guess I need to find a name for these. So I hope you all enjoy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!